Good evening, welcome back. Welcome to another episode of Easy 8's Online Painting Club. My name's Danny, and for the next couple of hours I'm going to be sitting here painting my miniatures live, hopefully while you're painting some of yours too. It's been a couple of weeks since I've really been in the studios talking to you and having a good evening. Last week I was pretty poorly. I'm fairly certain I had COVID. The new variant, whatever variant that is now. Is it Omicron? I think it might be. Well, anyway, whatever it was, I was feeling pretty awful, and I just didn't have the energy in me. And the problem is, it was over my holiday, so I'd booked a weekend off. Sorry, a whole week with the weekends off at either end, and I just within a couple of days of starting that holiday, I must have just because I'd stopped. I just kind of settled down. Maybe my immune system just was like, oh, we're resting now. And within a couple of days, I could just feel that energy disappearing. I'm so sorry I wasn't here last week. And yeah, I really missed it, and I really felt that sat downstairs in front of the TV. I felt, do you know what? I really could be on the show right now. So I got up, I started pottering around and doing a few chores, and then I died, and I absolutely didn't have it in me. So I just had to take that time to recover. I'm so sorry for being away. I'm really sorry if any of you actually genuinely missed me or missed the show at the very least. But I'm okay. I'm about 95% now. I'm a little bit sneezy and a little bit tired, but that's probably because I just spent a whole week not doing anything. Anyway, I've had a little bit of a jiggle around in the studio. You might be able to tell. My voice might be a little bit clearer. I don't know. I've fannied around with the microphone here, so it used to be on a ceiling boom just here, and the problem is I would like be doing stuff and then I'd move away a little bit and you wouldn't be able to hear what I'm saying. So I've repositioned it so that I can move it around a little bit freer, because a lot of you were saying that you couldn't quite hear me sometimes when I was moving around, and that's fine. So today's a bit of an experiment, really, playing around with different positions of the microphone. I've got the overhead camera set up a little bit differently. It might make things worse, it might make things better. Let me know what you think, because this show isn't about me painting my stuff, it's about you painting your stuff, and I'm just here for a little bit of company. So, you know, if it's a rubbish show, do tell me. Yeah, anyway, I've been hard at work trying to do stuff when I'm not on the show. You might notice that I put a few things up on YouTube recently, on Facebook and Instagram. I finally had the mindset to go and actually like take some photos and put some stuff on Instagram, and I'm going to do my very best to take some photos of at least the work in progress. Instagram really was a place for me to kind of put pictures of stuff that was finished or nearly finished, so that you could kind of see the final results. And I don't finish stuff an awful lot. I bounce around from project to project, and I wanted it to, yeah, basically I've got to start filling it up with a little bit more stuff. So go out there, go have a little look. We're not just here on YouTube, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Discord, where you can join me and a host of other people at the end of the show, the Easy 8 After Party. Links to all of our platforms are just downstairs. Go and check that out, and come along and join us if you want to. If you're working on something this evening, I genuinely would like to know about it, so please do tell me about it. You can take... It's been a little while. You can take pictures, you can put them up on Discord, you can put them up on Facebook. Do whatever you want with it. I just want to see the stuff that you're working on, because I'm genuinely inspired by the stuff that you guys do. And hopefully you can make some friends with the guys over there in the live chat. I always point that way, but I think on your phone they're down there somewhere. Have a little chat with the guys because they're live. Who have we got hanging out in the live chat today? We've got Crumb Studio. All hail the triumphant return of Danny, Lord of the Easy 8, and all he surveys. Glad you're feeling better, Danny. Do you know what? I feel like I need to pump my chair up a little bit after that. Oh, yeah, I feel Lord-like now. Yeah, thanks. The extra 2 inches on the chair. Every inch counts. Right, okay, cool. I was working on a very different project over the last few weeks recently, because I was doing a project for my dad, Jeff, who's also in the live chat. Hi, Dad, how are you doing? It was the SAS miniatures, those little white metal miniatures. I had a great time painting them, but I really struggled painting metal. I managed to get a good result in the end, but I wasn't overly happy with it, if I'm honest. Like, I could have done a lot better, but I wanted to get them done. They weren't just for me. They were for my dad, and they're like for a little expose of some work that he's got coming up a little bit later on. I'll let him talk about all of that because he's there in the live chat, and you can ask him if you want to. He's also on Facebook, so go and catch him up because he's with Purple Lion Creations. I say with, it is his Purple Lion Creations. There's a Facebook page. Go and check him out down there. Yeah, that's a shameless plug for my dad. Done. I've been working on those. I got them finished, and I put pictures up on Facebook and on Instagram, so you can go check them out if you want to. They came out all right. I could do better. I liked them, but, you know, I think like an artist, work is never done. I wanted to do something completely different. I'm saying quite a bit today because I haven't got a script, but I want to do something completely different today. I want to stretch a little bit. I want to push myself a little bit. I want to do something a little different. I'm going to still be painting miniatures and models like I always do. The same collections that I like. I'm going to go back to Tyranids, but I want to try and push myself a little bit with not colour theory, but just playing around with different techniques. I always feel a little bit rushed on the show because, well, I've got to keep some sort of interest thing going here. I can't just be doing the same thing every week because you guys would just get bored of it and I'd lose all my viewers, and what's the point? I've got to have something kind of different all the time. But I want to try a different way of painting. So today is going to be an experimental day, really. I'd love to know your input. If I'm doing something that you think is wrong or right or interesting, or you've seen it better a different way, or you think I'm doing something really cool, just chime in and let me know, because I will put your ideas and thoughts into practice and see what we come up with, basically. I've got a really nice miniature here. It needs a little bit of work to finish it off, and I'll tell you why in just a second when I get there. But, of course, what I have done is gone off on a super tangent, and I forgot to mention everybody else has joined us in the live chat this evening. We've got Crumb Studio, we've got Jeff. Hi, guys. We've got Adrian. Evening all. Hello, mate. Nice to see you in the live chat again. Hope you're doing well, pal. Jeff says, the sound is good. Love that. Wonderful. A hobby butterfly. What do you mean by a hobby butterfly? That's a nice little word. I like that, a hobby butterfly, but I don't know what it means. Christoulis has joined us. It's that time again. Happy weekend all. Cheers. Happy Friday. Fresh up the kettle, but it is good. I need caffeine today. Christoulis, yeah, hello, lovely. And we've got Stafford. Hi all. Sorry I'm late. Running on Danny time. Nah, mate, you take your time. It's a social club. You don't. There's no pressure. It's not work. I'm not paying you. That would be cool though, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? Yeah. Adrian says, I'm working on my Flames of War Wehrmacht in preparation for receiving some more. Also experimenting, trying to get a decent looking lava base so I can do a decent set of bases for my warp talents. Oh, tell me more. And photos, please. Stick all the photos up on Facebook or on Discord, or both. Yeah, Stafford wants to know because he's talking about tanks. Staff's straight in there. Want to know more about that. Going from project to project to project, a hobby butterfly. I like that. Do you know what? I could be a hobby butterfly. It sounds beautiful. And I'm a beautiful person. Anyway, if you like what I do here on the channel, please do consider subscribing. We're up to a magnificent number of 203. And yes, we did get one right at the beginning of the show. I just kind of pushed the button on. That was a replay. It came from a couple of days ago. Welcome, Dean. I think, is it Dean Tally? Hi, Dean Tally. And everybody else who subscribed recently. I haven't been keeping up with it all. Sometimes Streamlabs, the software that I use for streaming, doesn't tell me everyone's names when they subscribe, or even if it's an accurate, like on the day subscription. Sometimes it's like, oh, here's one from a couple of weeks ago, and I lose it. And I really, really want to keep up to date with everybody who subscribes so that I can shout you out and mention you for helping me support this really nice community of people that share the love for the hobby. So I'm actually looking at changing my software, sorry Streamlabs, to OBS, which is still an open source thing. It works almost the same. Just taking a little bit of time to set it up, and it seems to be a little bit better on that side of it. Just bear with me while I sort that out. I've done a lot of work over the last week, excuse me, because I've been sat in the studio feeling poorly and miserable, just sat in front of the computer. So yeah, welcome all subscribers. If you like what we do here, please do subscribe if you haven't done it already, and share it. Share word of EZ8. Get it out there. Put a poster up at work, up at college, or wherever it is that you are. Maybe you know someone who you think might benefit from this little community. Bring them along, because that's what it's all about. I never thought that we'd get past 50. To be at over 200 is just amazing. So yeah, thanks everybody. Love you. And you know what? The amount of support I got from being poorly, I got like messages all over Facebook and YouTube and everything, just wishing me like a fast recovery. Thanks very much. Love that. It was really kind. What a lovely community. Anyway, yeah, subscribe. It'll make my day. Cheers. Right, I'm going to take you over to the workbench. Hopefully, the camera's set up right. I've been playing around with a lot of stuff, and I don't know if I've got it right. Tell me what you think. I will change it as we go. Here we go. Cool. So here is one big claw. This is actually quite a big claw. This comes from the new Screamer Killer kit, which is one of the new Tyranids from the Leviathan box set. It's basically a Carnifex. It goes back to the old style, if you like. Oh, I've got a cable that is dangling under my arm, and it is doing my edit. Can you go over there? That would be great. Cheers, mate. Nope, doesn't want to. Right, let's move that up a bit. There we go. It basically goes back to the original 2nd edition Warhammer designs, which was just a little white metal miniature that had its arms went, and he called it a Screamer Killer. So this is actually quite a departure from my Carnifex, which is out of shot at the moment. I'll bring it in later. I think it's a really good model. When I first saw it being released, I wasn't too set on the head. I don't necessarily like this stuff here. And I think actually it's received a little bit of mixed reviews in terms of, you know, hate or love. I get it. But the more I look at it, the more I really like it. Yeah, I'm still not set on these little bits over here. It looks like he's got a priest's bold, do you know what I mean? Like a Brother Cadfael style haircut. But I'm sure that when he's all painted up, he'll look really cool. Now you can see at the moment he's missing an arm. It's kind of flapping around a little bit. There's a reason for that. I thought because he's such a wide model, he's like easily a hand span, that if he's transporting around, it'd be a nightmare. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I could have his arms separated? I didn't glue them. I push fit them all in, and then trying to take them apart, the push fit was so tight that when I took this arm out, it broke one of the 2 retaining pins in there. So I thought, do you know what? I'm not going to faff around with it. I'm not going to sit there and drill out magnets or whatever. I'm just going to glue the beast together. Just before the show went live, I just tried this one because it was a little bit looser than all the others, and I pulled him out, and you can see that actually one of the retaining pins is coming off on him as well. So it's just perished there. So I'm just going to glue it all in. That's a little bit of work that I've got to do today. I've also got no base for it. I bought this fella from Grant over at Overlord, and he sent it through to me with a load of other stuff in an Overlord Games care package. Thank you so much, Grant. It was really kind of you, by the way. I paid money for this fella, but he forgot to send the base in the post. I don't need the base right now. It's not a palaver, not a pavlova. It doesn't matter. I'll do the base much later. I've got a lot of work I haven't even started on him yet, so that's fine. So there's a base to go on him yet. So I'm going to glue the arms into place. You'll also see that some little white lines on his legs and whatever. That is Vallejo model putty filler. I really wanted to like it. I just can't get on with it. It either goes in really crumbly and you try and sand it down, or wash it smooth, and it just sands out. So in the future, I think I'm going to do away with it, which is a bit of a shame. I played around with this before on the show, plastic putty. Some people get really good results, and I watch people do their videos on it. I just struggle, man. I just struggle with it. Anyway, whatever. In the future, I think I'll just get like milliput or green stuff, make little sausages, push it into the seams, and then just sculpt it. It'll take a little bit longer, but I think the results will be much more satisfying. And you can see that all the way down the side of this chest line here, that there's like a piece of carapace, if you like, that goes on his chest in the middle, and there was a seam up the side, and there's just too gappy. Big seams that went down the front of the thighs, and I think as I paint it, it'll all disappear. There were big gaps that went down the sides of the carapace over here, and I'm hoping that I'll go over it with a brush and a bit of water and just kind of wash it smooth, and painting them up, it should look a little bit different. A little bit on the tail, a little bit on the backs of the legs. What can you do? What am I going to do differently about this project? Well, what I normally do is I prime all my Tyranids white, because I want the yellow colour that I'm inevitably going to paint the skin on it to pop. Yellow is traditionally quite a weak pigment, certainly not as weak as orange. If you watch some of my older episodes, me working with orange is really difficult. Yellow is a little bit stronger, but it can be quite weak, especially if you're painting over black. I paint it yellow, solid, there's no opaqueness to it. I've never done any pre-shading or anything like that with my yellows. And then I do sepia washes, and then I just kind of move on to the carapace, which is greys and blacks and things like that. I want to do some pre-shading, basically. This might not be the best miniature to start with, because it hasn't, well, I'm saying it hasn't got the largest carapace. Actually, it does have quite a huge carapace on there. All of these ribs here might be a bit difficult. I don't really know. Maybe it's a really good model to start pre-shading with, but basically I'm going to spray the whole thing brown or white. So I want to do pre-shade white, and I want to do the shadow bits brown, because I want the brown. I think brown is a good base for yellow, and I don't want black to penetrate through the yellow, because it's just going to be too contrasting. Brown will supplement yellow very well. But the carapace, I want to do the carapace in a totally different way. What I've traditionally done with the carapaces is paint them a base grey, do some staining black a little bit up against the edges of where the carapace overlaps, and then do several bright versions of grey highlights all the way over it. It looks really good. I've got it down to a fine art. It looks really cool, but it's a little too comic booky. I want to try something different on it, so I'm going to try a little bit of pre-shading on here. That might be quite difficult, but I'm going to give it a bit of a go. Otherwise, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint the whole carapace black, and then I'm going to do... Oh, I've got the hiccups. Talking too much. And then I'm going to do some, not glazes, but I'm going to do some really watered down greys, and I'm just going to try quite a rough yet neat approach at glazing those colours back in. So what I've traditionally done is started with a grey, panel line some black in basically, and then I've literally painted in flashes and creases and splits with my highlights, kind of giving a false illusion of cracks and splits. The toenail effect, I think we called it ages and ages ago. What I want to do now is just kind of roughly bring in the streaks, if you like, with translucent colours. It's in my head, the artist's scope, the challenge that the artist faces is to translate what's in the mind's eye onto the canvas in front of you. That's the challenge, isn't it? So yeah, and then the pre-shading, hopefully it works. We'll see what happens. I also want to do it a little bit grimier, a little bit darker, a little bit grimdark. My yellows traditionally have popped quite a bit, so I want. I don't want to do everything I do in grimdark, but I'm going to try some oil-based washes when I've got the base colours down. And I was talking to some of the guys on Discord a few weeks ago that I would like to try some oil-based washes, but that's probably for a couple of weeks away at the very least, I reckon. First things first is I've just got to start getting the arms glued in place, right? Anyway, just going to very, very quickly catch up on the live chat, 'cause there's a lot of chat going in there. Always wanted to have a go at a lava terrain, says Jeff. Do you know what, man? Just do it. Just go and make it, because your stuff's really cool. You can pop it up on eBay and people will buy it. I'd love to see that. That'd be great. Darth Vader's not a fan of lava terrain. What's Darth Vader got to do with it? Is he here? Christula says, finished painting my fist class Frosthaven, working on a druid summons wild shapes for a party member in our TTRPG book. I have the rat looking really gross. Oh, photos or it never happened, man. I want to see that. That'd be great. What is fist class for Frosthaven? More on that, please. Crumb says, I am working on my kawaii captain from the front of the Combat Patrol magazine. Oh, photos again, please. Stafford says, Dave, if you're watching, your other birthday present has arrived. I do believe it is Dave's birthday very soon. Dave hasn't been in the live chat for a while because he struggles to get the live chat working on his phone. But I think it is. I think it's downstairs on the phone. Anyway, have a little go. Dave, if you're there, if you're watching, spam that hearts button for me, mate. I'm supposed to be building another tank, says Stafford. I just can't do it. Yes, you can. You know you can. And then finally, Adrian starts. There's Dave. Yeah, thanks, man. Nice to see you again, mate. Adrian says, Stafford, I'm getting a 7.5 centimetre tank hunter platoon, 251 transports, and a Panzer Grenadier platoon. That sounds exciting. Was supposed to have arrived from Overlord Games today, but Royal Mail has let us down. Well, there you go. There's a surprise, right? Okay, so look, I need to get these glued into place. Where is my glue? I've started using the really thin cements. Because I used to use Humbrol poly cement from the tube, which is like as thick as toothpaste, right? And well, the thing is, you can't control it. It just goes all over the place. If you put too much in, you squeeze the joints of whatever it is together, and it splurges everywhere, all over the place. So I thought, once I finished that tube, and it lasted me over 10 years, I'd start using the thin ones. Problem is sometimes you want a big, thick, gloopy bitch to hold it in place. So what I do is I take my little pieces apart like that, and I drop in a healthy amount. Because the idea is you're supposed to use capillary action. Is that the right term? Capillary action? Capillary relief? Whatever it is. Once the pieces are together and you drop it into the seam. But I want a super duper hold on this. So push those pieces in there like that. And I can see a little bit of glue has just run up the side ever so slightly. But because it's not thick glue, it's not going to damage the seam. So just drop a little bit in like that. Drop a little bit in like that. And that should hold it. Now, this one's going to go in here. That's such a shame, isn't it? Never mind. Adrian says it's Tuesday. Is it this coming Tuesday, is it? Mine and Dave's birthday is Tuesday. Happy birthday to the both of you. Many happy returns. Yeah, almost happy birthday, guys. The live chat. Don't look a day over 21 in the live chat. I don't really remember 21. It was that long ago. Cool. And you go. Lovely. A little bit extra in there. Lovely. I say lovely a lot, don't I? Just wiggle this way out. Such a tight fit. Lush. So my camera's in a slightly different position, so sometimes I might be out of shot. Do let me know if you can't see what I'm doing. Let me know your thoughts and feelings about the show, because it is important to me that I, produce something at least semi-professional. And yeah, if you can't see what I'm painting, or the focus is out, or anything like that, let me know. How is the sound quality on the microphone? Is it better this week? Is the microphone in the better position? Is the light okay? It's very bleached on my screen. I've kind of been playing around with lights and cameras and stuff while I've been taking photos for Instagram, and doing little reels and stuff for YouTube Shorts. So everything's a little bit out of position perhaps. And I was poorly, so I didn't have the wherewithal to go and set it back up again properly afterwards. I just forgot, basically. I came into the studio and went, oh yeah, I've got to do that today. So, cool. Sorry for not being a pro. Microphone's very close to my face. I'm going to be bumping into it a lot. Lush. I wonder, is this sort of thinner? Maybe there's people out there that know a little bit more about like Tamiya extra thin cement. Is this the sort of stuff where if I wiped it over this putty, it would like do it really good? Would that be? That's what I want, right? Is that right? Because I know that people like use thinner on their putties. I'm just gonna give it a go. I'm just gonna see what happens. Let's do it. Oh no, ruined it. What's that done? Has it done anything? It smells lovely. Does anybody else love the smell of poly cement? I love it. Doesn't seem to have done much, does it? What if I wipe it with my finger? Ooh! Okay, it does do stuff. Well, whatever. Yeah, man. Love that smell. Yeah, it just reminds me of being a kid and playing with your first Airfix kit, whatever. Cool. Yeah, I think all these limbs are, yeah, they're pretty solid. Strong stuff, that cement. Love it. Right. Well, the first thing to do is to get some primer on it, and I'm gonna, like I say, I'm gonna use a combination of white and brown. I don't have a brown primer. A primer? I love that. I don't have a brown primer, so what I'm gonna do is just prime the whole thing with white primer, and then I'm just gonna find like a nice colour brown. I don't want it to be too dark. I always use my charred brown. I might use a little bit of earth, perhaps. I don't know. I don't know what to use yet. I'll get your opinions as we move on. It might just be a difficult thing to appreciate. Who knows? I've got another Tyranid over here. Look, this is awful. And I've had this on the show before. I'm really embarrassed by this model, because it looks like that I've tried to paint it and this is what it's come out like. This is a Tyrannofex that was missing some spikes, so I put some big old tentacles in there. And what I use it for is practicing different colours. So one of the things I've been practicing a lot on it is the colour of this thing here. This is like, it's all really bleached out on my monitor. Hopefully it's not all bleached out too much on yours. But it should be like a pallid green colour. It should be like quite a sickly colour. And I just wanted to see how it worked against the yellows. I like stained it different colours, like put some different washes on it, different filters on it, how it works. So I use it literally as a test bed canvas. So once I kind of get all my big creatures done, I will probably strip that model down and do him up properly. I'm just going to move my light a little bit. Oh, that's so much better. Got more space. Excellent. Right. As always, time to give the airbrush a little bit of a clean out. Because I was using it quite a bit recently. And again, I didn't clean it out at the end of my stint using it then. Stick a little bit of cleaner in there. Cool. It's never really a problem inside the actual airbrush itself. It's more about the blockages in the nozzle. That's really difficult to clean out as well. You've got a blockage in the nozzle. It's a real blight. Looks like it's pretty clean in there though, so that's good. It's sticking a little bit. That's better. Oops. Pop a little bit of cleaner in there as well. Blow a little bit of cleaner through the nozzle, loosen up anything that might be sticking in there. Let's see how it goes. Right. Well, we've got a big old beastie to prime. I want to make sure that we get a good solid coat all over him. So I'm going to give this a really good shake. It's been a little while since I've used this. I want to start actually priming everything in black. Black seems to be the thing that everyone works on. Don't know why, it just seems to... it looks cool. I want to start priming everything black, but I'm using yellow. I want bright colours, so yeah, man. This Crumb saying, Pixano on Facebook, love that, thank you very much. Go and check those out a little bit later on, that'd be cool. Rightio. Primer can be thick and heavy, so I've got some thinner to go in there with it as well. And I'm going to pour a healthy amount in the hopper. Or I'm going to pour it all down my hand. Oh, that's so fun. There's a little blockage in the paint pot. And it all just squeezed out all over my hands. It used to go all over a miniature, right? One of the hazards of working with paint, I suppose. There's an old tissue. Haven't had a paint explosion on the show for a while. Right, lovely. Let's get another piece of tissue out because I can anticipate that happening again. Let's try again. Oh, look, it's all down the side of the hairbrush. Now, if that was silver paint, I'd be cleaning that up for weeks, wouldn't Happens to the best of us. At least it wasn't Nuln. Yeah, do you know what? I've never poured Nuln all over the table. Drutchy Violet. Oh, it does not come off. Okay, I'm just going to put a little bit more in there. There we are. And some thinner. I'm just mixing that. Just diluting the paint down with thinner. It stretches it out a little bit further. I've probably got a bit too much in there now, but it makes it go a little bit further, and also just stops it from being so aggressive in the airbrush itself. I suppose because primer's a thicker, heavier paint. Oh, I've got a creased piece of paper. Should I crease that? Here we go. I always like to spray onto a piece of paper. I watch a lot of YouTubers, a lot of pro YouTubers. They're messy pups. They just spray all over their worktop. I kind of get behind that. Like, have a tidy place. Sort it out. Crumb says, head scratched and tummy rubs to Dax and Binker. Yeah, do you know what? I was having a cuddle with Binker just before I came up into the studio. She's being super cute. They don't know what to do with themselves now that I'm back at work, because obviously I was in the housebound for a good 8-9 days, just with them the entire time, and now I'm not, and I think that they feel that. Bless them. Right, so shall I paint the whole thing white and then do underspray of brown? Do you think that's a good idea? Let's just get him primed. And of course I have the Easy 8 Dry-O-Matic, the hairdryer. Thanks, Stafford. To help speed up drying times. There you can see it's quite speckly. Can you see the spatters that are coming out? That could be because I've got quite a dirty airbrush, I suppose. Another reason for me to try and sort that out. It could be that my pressure's not high enough. Just trying to keep that first layer super fine, super thin, so that we don't build up too much spatter, create unwanted texture. But also, you know, a product of primer is that it's just a heavy duty paint, isn't it? It's thicker. Is the sound of the airbrush coming through on the microphone too much now that the microphone's a little bit closer? Is that bothering you at all? Let me know. Now, I only have a bit of an idea of what I want to be doing with this whole technique, this whole style. I'm kind of inventing it as I go along, just taking in sort of bits of inspiration from various videos and things that I've seen, and, you know, tips and tricks and whatever. So it's not like I've got a particular plan in mind. It's not like one of those tutorial shows where you go like, oh, I'm going to learn pre-shading, and this is how I'm going to do it. Nah, I don't know what I'm doing. it's so big, it's easy to kind of lose yourself and just kind of get carried away. What I've got to try and do is just do like a bit at a time, perhaps. So if I just focus on these two arms and just kind of get one arm sort of done, go to the other arm, come back to the other one, and then like just rinse, repeat. And if I'm going through them too quickly, then I can add in another arm perhaps. But I don't want to just go like arms, back, oh, leg, oh, I've still got half leg over here to do. I've got to kind of slow it down, think about where it is that I want to go. And that's just my ADHD nature just kind of running wild with me. I'll be focused on like, I'm going to do this bicep. That's all I'm going to do today is this bicep. And before I know it, I've done 3 tails, another miniature. You know, I've really got to like keep on top of my my to-do list, if you like. See, I'm wandering again. Not doing arms now, am I? Do you know what? I thought I was going to have too much primer, but it turns out, actually, I'm going to need more. It's not just about creating a colour for the paints to work on as well. A lot of this stuff's going to be very dark with blacks and greys. It's about creating a base that all the paints can adhere to. Prime is very sticky, probably because it's a heavier, thicker paint, and then all the paint sticks to that. Does anybody like particularly enjoy or hate priming? Because this is, I suppose, it's a bit of a monotonous task. Like, I'm having fun because I'm putting paint on something and it's quick and it's easy. As long as I don't go too heavy too quick, it's all fine, right? But there's no real character coming out here. There's no like shapes or colours or patterns or character coming out on what I'm painting yet. There will be, but not right now. Does anybody like particularly enjoy this part? Does anybody particularly not enjoy this part? Is it a bit boring? Do you not even prime at all? I never used to. Went a bit heavy there. Let's move that around. There we go. And I'm out of paint. Okay, cool. What I'm going to do very quickly is just flush that through just to stop any paint building up inside and just drying. So just a little bit of ongoing maintenance, really. A quick chance for some tea. What is my dad saying there? It looks like a for show kind of model, because it's hidden behind that little heart icon. I can't quite see what that word is. Is that what you're saying? It looks like a for show kind of model. What do you mean exactly by that? Is it a model to kind of show off your skills, so to speak, like a centerpiece? Is that what we're saying? Because I agree. You know, little miniatures, rank and file miniatures, having lots and lots of those. That's all about, that's your horde army, isn't it? It's get those painted to what we call a tabletop standard, which is just get them kind of done. But then something like this is show off your ability, your quality as a painter. Which now makes me feel a bit nervous now. Like I've got some high expectations waiting for me. Fresh bit of primer. Quick test. Lovely. Might turn the pressure up a little bit on my thing. A little bit extra pressure might force the paint through a little bit more, stop it from being so spattery. Well, it looks a bit better already, but that might be my very unprofessional eye not really knowing what I'm looking at. It does look a little bit better. Feels a bit better, feels a bit smoother. Jeff says, I like the first coat of paint on terrain pieces. Kind of makes it all one piece, especially if you've been like building something, making something. It kind of hides all the odd job colour bits, doesn't it? It kind of brings it all together, like you're saying, a unifying thing. Makes it neat and tidy to look at. This bit of card was black and this bit of card was grey, and these resin parts I put in here were a totally different colour and were white or whatever. But when you first put that first bit of colour on it, it just all goes whatever colour you set it to. Just looks nice and neat and tidy. Okay, we're like over 50% done there, I think. A little bit out of shot there, sorry. Don't really mind so much if the top of their carapace here on the back isn't completely covered in white, because it's probably going to go jet black anyway. But again, I am just interested in getting a decent coat of primer on there for that layer to stick to. So I am going to try and airbrush the black on. Now I might end up overspraying on everything, so I'm going to use bits of paper to try and cover and hide those bits. Might have to move to brush, it might be a bit too much to do, especially at my level. It might be too slow, and I do want to feel like I've got a little bit of tempo. It might be that I have to do the top bits black, but when it turns underneath I might have to do that by brush, maybe, you know. Where do I hold it? It's covered in wet paint. A little bit of putty sticking off the bottom of the seams there. Just want to neaten it up a little bit quickly. Just neaten it up with the edge of the standing knife blade. Just a little bit rough, and I didn't really want that showing through. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-shade it by having the white on the top and the brown from underneath, and just keep it simple at this stage while I'm learning doing what it is that I want to do. I could sit here and try and do all sorts of different angles and maybe like do highlights from, you know, like all the ribs and things, but actually I think just a little bit of zenithal pre-shading is going to be the way forward. Now I would actually like to do the yellow with Cassandora yellow, which is a Citadel paint from their contrast range. I did use contrast yellow a little while ago, a couple of years ago now, and it's actually a beautiful paint to work with. But I'd had a system, a scheme that I was using at the time that I was finding quite successful, and I wasn't really in the place to kind of stretch myself or you know, like push myself with my learning new techniques. So I got rid of it. I think I gave it to someone in the live chat. Keep it, it's yours, it's fine. I will go and get some more. So I'm not going to be starting on yellow today, if I actually get far enough to be doing anything like colours and whatever today. Today is, I might start just doing a little bit of the grey, kind of just having a little go, trying to get the black in the right place, once I've got all the pre-shading sorted out. Right, let's put them down and just try to do it freehand a little bit now. Well, freehand, without holding it. Let's get a bit of fresh air on that. Now, again, what I'll probably do with the pre-shading is hold it upside down, spray brown on it until it's at a, you know, an opacity that I particularly like and a coverage that I like. And that might require me to do a little bit of neatening up with the white, so I might just then turn them upside down, get some white non-primer, just normal white paint, and then come in from the top and just maybe neaten up those edges. Just trying to like look forwards and consider problems and things that I might encounter on the way, and just try to, you know, problem solve before the problems arise. A little bit of primer left in the hopper. pretty good here, I think. I'm out of paint. Cool. Right, again. Let me purge that bad boy through. Clean it up. I'm just going to hit him with a hairdryer, I think. I haven't got like a perfect coverage on the bottom of the feet just there. But what I'll probably do in a bit, I'll come in with some white paint and just go over it. Let that primer dry. I don't want to sit here and be priming all night. Crumb says, I hate it when I lose interest in the model halfway through the base coat part and it sits on my desk or shelf for months only to get stripped and starting all over or just straight painting over. Yeah, man, I'm surrounded by it. Absolutely surrounded by it. It's the painter's curse, right? Cool. Right, let's leave that over there. Wonderful. Easy 8 Dryer-matic. I'm just going to power off the microphone so you don't get blasted by this. There we go. Cool. Right, let's move that out of the way for a minute. I have now a primed Screamer Killer. Super cool. It's at this point that sometimes when I'm painting miniatures that I like to do a little wash over them, just so you kind of see all those details. Not focused on that right now. What I really want to do is get ready for the pre-shading. So I've got a couple of browns here. I've got my regular brown, charred brown. I've got some earth, which if I give it a little bit of a shake, you see its true colour. Make sure the lid's on there. Some charred brown, which is my go-to really. I do like charred brown. I've got some leather brown. Not really into the leather browns. Never really got it. I've got beastie brown. That's a nice one. I might just go with the charred brown because it's going to go on kind of opaque to start with, and I think that mean it won't be so dark. What colour do you think? Permanent set, please, Danny. Yeah, no worries, mate. What colour do you think for the pre-shade? I do think the charred brown, which is this one over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Which one do you think I should use for a pre-shade? Give it a second because I know there's a bit of a delay. There's a cable that sticks at the bottom of my microphone and it's doing my chuff. Sitting on my arm. Sorry if you can hear me like knocking the microphone around, I'm so sorry. Crumbs reckons 2. See, I reckon 1. Probably the one I would have done the least would have been 2. Different things in our heads, right? Adrian says 3. Jeff says 3. You reckon? For the pre-shade? Jeff says, or 1. No, don't go back on it. You said it, man. Let's have a look at this colour. Let's give it a good old shake. Let me reposition this microphone because Do my head in. That's the colour of it. This is leather brown. Not sure now? Okay. It's a weird colour. I've never really been into it. Let's have a little look at Beastie Brown. It's kind of a sepia colour. Interesting colour. I think that these colours are quite light. I think they're too soft to go under a yellow. What do you think? Buy a Waz, will you? Alright, man. I'm trying to save up for a really nice camera so that you can get some really good visuals. Don't mind me or nothing. Here's the one that I always use. See, I was thinking like as a pre-shade. I know it's very, very dark, but if I was to make it go on thinner, it could be quite opaque. That's what I was thinking, you see. I feel like I want to do like a makeup tutorial. And then there's the earth colour as well. I might need a good old shake. Yeah, that's too weak, isn't it? That is not what we want at all. I think that's got too much of a warm tone in it. Yeah, the Beastie Brown. And I think if I use that, because it's quite a soft colour, I think it'll blend away with the yellow too much. I need a dark penetrating colour. So I think I'm going to stay with the... Sorry for asking your advice and going with my own idea. But I think I'm going to stay with the charred brown and see how it goes. And if it doesn't look like it's worked, and I give the other colours a try, and then you were right, I will totally own up to it. Because I'm a nice guy like that. Anyway, we are pretty much ready for a quick break. My menus are doing a weird thing. Here we go. So I'm going to go for a quick break, as we often do at this part of the day, where we can go and stop drinking the tea and go and get ourselves a proper grown-up juice. So, yeah. So, I think with this guy, I'm going to do like a pre-shade. Literally, I'm going to do from an underneath, hit it with the brown, come back to the top, do a zenithal highlight white, just kind of brighten that primer white back up again. And then when it comes to the flesh parts, like the chest, the arms, the legs, the tail, the top of the head here, that will all be done contrast yellows. And anywhere where that zenithal underspray is will show through on the yellows, giving it straight away, giving it vibes of shadow. Being a brown, it should blend into the yellow better than a black. And then I can come back in and do some oil washes over the top of it later on to kind of bring those details out, all the little like lumps and bumps and creases and things like that on there. When it comes to the greys, I'm just going to go straight in with a black, and then I'm going to just try and highlight up using quite a rough glazing, semi-glazing sort of process. Let's see where it goes. Let's see what happens on the way. Anyway, we're going to disappear for 10 minutes. Well, I'm going to disappear for 10 minutes. And in that time, I'm going to go and change my paint water. So should you. I'm going to go and grab myself an adult juice. Or a grown-up juice, because adult juice just sounds weird in my own head. But don't let me tell you what to drink. You go get what you're going to get. It might be a hobgoblin. Who knows, crumbs? Anyway, I'll see you back in 10. Bye-bye. Welcome back. My headset microphone's not on. That's much better. Welcome back. Hope you had a good break. I feel like I'm about to sneeze. I'm still, like I say, a little bit poorly. And you know what? I haven't sneezed so much in one thing, in one event in all my life. I must have in 3 days sneezed about 100 times. I got bored of it. It started to hurt. It was crazy. And I'm still a little bit like, you know when you get fizzy eyes from wanting to sneeze but not actually sneezing? Yeah, it's kind of how I feel. I hope you had a good break. I went and got myself a grown-up juice. Yeah. It wasn't a hobgoblin. No, I actually thought I had a hobgoblin. I didn't. It's a bit sad. But for ages and ages, I've had a crafty old hen, or an old crafty hen, just sat out in the kitchen there. It's a strong one, 6.5%. That's probably going to knock my little socks off, especially as I haven't had much of a dinner today. So anyway, happy weekend, y'all. Cheers. Anyway, oh yeah, that's a strong one. Oh, Jeff says, now I've been buggy as well. Yeah, it's just I think there's a lot of people going around with it in a minute. It could have been COVID. It might not have been COVID. I had an out-of-date test and I tested in it, and it said it was. And then I tested it at the end of feeling poorly, and it said it wasn't. It felt like COVID. It might not have been COVID. It just felt grotty. Anyway, I'm so much better now. Anyway, John's joined us from Out of This World Models and Minis. Hi everyone, at work, but wanted to say hello. Hello again, and thanks so much for coming along, and congratulations again for hitting 1,000 subscribers on your channel. Yeah, it's such a big event, so well done to you. Well done for all the hard work, and yeah, it's great to be recognised for it, isn't it? If you want to see what John's channel is all about, go and head on over there. There is a link just downstairs in the description of this video. Go and check out John, Out of This World Models and Minis. Just a really swell guy who paints whatever he wants, and is just really, really good at it. So go and check him out. Evening, John. Love that. Wicked. I have just lifted up my light to create a little bit more space here. I realise here right now it kind of bleaches everything out. Always looking for your feedback. I'd like the studio to look quite professional. If I turn that off, oh, now I've got a bit of a over-the-top light from here, a demanding light from over there. Don't really like that very much. Turn that one on. Is it a bit too bleached out? If I move it around, what do you think? Give me your thoughts and feelings on everything. Anyway, it's created a little bit more space for me here, so I'm going to carry on like that for the time being. Anyway, what am I doing right now? I am going to be pre-shading the Screamer Killer, so I'm going to get a little bit of brown on there. The light is a little bit washed out now that I've lifted it up too far, so can I intensify it? That's a little bit better. Ooh, I like that. That's nice. Okay, cool. So do you know what? Going to go straight on over to the workbench. But before then, if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing to the show. Since the beginning of this show started, we've had another subscriber. So whoever you are, thank you so much for subscribing. I really do mean it. I don't know your name because sometimes my streaming software just hides that information. One of the reasons why at the beginning of the show, I was just talking about changing my software because this one lets me down on that side there a little bit. But whoever you are, if you're watching live or if you're going to like just subscribing and watching back on the replay, welcome to the show, and I hope you find something of value here, and I hope you make some friends and share photos of your stuff, man. I'd love to see it. Anyway, here we go to the workbench. Cool. So yeah, I do feel like the camera zoomed in a little bit too much. What can you do? I'll change it another time. So let's get a piece of paper in here. Here's a piece of paper. Lovely. And I'm going to do some pre-shading. I have a little think about where I want the pre-shading to come in from. Obviously, that's the position he's going to be in. I can judge where the base is going to be. It's going to be here. So that's kind of, you know, up and down. Not like this way. That's not up here. It's going to be this sort of angle. How far do I want it to come up the sides? I think what I need to do is just basically have a go and just see what happens. Just see where we end up with it. Cool. Here we go. Give me an airbrush. Make sure there's no primer left in there. Got some charred brown. I'm actually running out of charred brown, so I need to be careful here. I do have some charred brown brush paint, but it's not thin enough to go through the airbrush. But I've got some thinner, so I can make it up. It's just going to make the whole process that little bit longer, isn't it? Anyway, I'm going to put in like half a dozen or so drops. I'm going to drop a little bit of thinner in there, again just to stretch it out, but also to make it more opaque. I deliberately want it to be opaque. And I'm also going to put a little bit of flow improver in there as well, just because, well, it improves the flow. Do you know what? 2 drops. I'm going to be wild. Yeah, 2 drops. And a drop of flow improver means that it's about a 1-to-3 ratio. Flow improver. Crumbs says they seek them here, they see them there, they seek the subscriber everywhere. I'm sure, you know, if Shiv was on from Table of Horrors right now, that he would have come up with a pun about that. He loves the puns, doesn't he? He's not online this week. Wherever you are, I hope you're okay, Shiv. Cool, that looks nice and opaque. Love it. Quick test on the sheet over here. See how dark that doesn't look? It's actually quite a vibrant colour. It actually comes through quite warm if you keep it nice and translucent, which is why I was thinking about using it rather than just saturating a whole area for the pre-shade. Anyway, rather than just blasting it all like super duper, I'm just going to come in with it nice and gentle to start with on the torso there. And if I feel that I've gone a bit over the top with the pre-shade, I can always come back in with some white again later on and just tone it down a little bit, you know? Especially like at my level of painting, I'm not really after artificial shadow. I'm just after a really cool effect. I just want it to look good. Oh, I think there might have been a little bit of a blockage in my airbrush there, and all of a sudden just went, have that. Yeah, that's correct. Did you tell people about the podcast you did a few weeks ago? Do tell. A podcast with Shiv about Warhammer and painting Warhammer. No, I haven't mentioned anything about it yet because actually the night we did it was the night that I started to feel quite poorly. So when you do hear that wonderful podcast, you will hear me, maybe, it depends on the editing, me talking about that I start to feel quite grotty, especially as the evening went on. Now, I was drinking during that thing as well to sort of give me the energy and the motivation to kind of just keep the spirits going a little bit, because, you know, alcohol kind of gives you a fake energy, doesn't it? Yeah, so I was drinking to numb the pain. Sounds so bad. It was the first or second day, the first day of my holiday. So I was just having a nice evening. No, I haven't spoken about it. I was kind of not keeping it necessarily a secret. I just wasn't getting involved in talking about it just yet, and while it hasn't been edited. But that's not to say that we can't talk about it now. So Shiv from Table of Horrors, who is usually a regular to the live chat every week, has his own YouTube channel, etc., where they do tabletop RPGs, mostly Vampire the Masquerade and things like that, but a little bit of everything really. They have like online groups from all over the world. They get together and they do live games, and you can just kind of come along and just watch it unfold as a viewer if you want to. And he's just got like a really big following. It's really, really cool. There's quite a few of them that sort of, in loose terms, work together. So there's, you know, basically Table of Horrors is a group of people who are all interested in doing what they do, running RPGs, playing RPGs together, and just putting them out there on YouTube for people to watch. He also does the occasional podcast. and asked myself and Crumbs here to be a part of his recent episode, which is talking all about the recent Warhammer 40,000 released models, Space Marines, Dark Angels, Blood Angels, etc., comparing them against their older versions because they're essentially resculpts, and just talking about the evolution of the models, the evolution of the game, our interests and our thoughts and views, etc., as, you know, older members of that kind of community. We expected to be talking on the podcast for about an hour to an hour and a half. 3.5 hours later, we had to call it because we were flaking. We were getting very tired. But honestly, we could have gone on for ages. Am I right? It was just a really, really nice evening. And Shiv was so happy with how the conversation went that he said, I'm going to really struggle trying to edit this. There's a lot that I don't want to cut out. I want to keep it concise at the same time, but it might turn into like an extra long episode. He said also, it was such an interesting chat, I might just want to listen back to it. He's going to find it very difficult to do. He reckoned that there was going to be about a 3-week lead on waiting for it to be edited and then released into, you know, the world. When that happens, I will make sure that there is a link and I will advertise it gloriously all over all of my platforms, so that those of you that are interested can listen to it. It's a podcast, not a vodcast. And yeah, you can listen to it, share it with your friends who you think might be interested in it, etc. And it was just nice to do something different. Not the first podcast I've been a part of. Out of This World Models and Minis. John, we did a little podcast a little while ago, last October, where we did the little challenge for October, and we did the same miniature. We kind of kept them secret from each other, and then we talked about them and basically did a big reveal during a podcast that John ran and edited, and that's also out there in the world for you to go see if you want to. So yeah, do you know what, podcasts it's not something that I'm new to. There is an Easy 8 podcast in the works. Shh. Yeah, man. Who knew, right? Crazy stuff. Okay, look, from here, he looks almost completely brown. But flip him over and he's almost completely white, which means that we've got some really interesting transitions in the middle. I'm not really all that fussed about the transitions at the moment. My airbrushing skills aren't good enough to get soft transitions. I'm a little bit fuzzy and, spattery, etc. with the airbrush. So I'm not going to have the softest tones there. That might happen once I start putting the yellow contrast paint over the top later on. Who knows? We'll see what happens. This might not be the best thing in the world. It might turn out to be a load of rubbish. But I just want to give myself the permission to practice. Do you know what I mean? Like I need to explore and stretch, and I get very, very precious about when I do something that works for me and I just lock down on it and I stay with that style, and there's no room for growth in there at all. And it's very hypocritical of me as someone who runs this channel, always suggesting to you, the viewers, stretch out a little bit, try something new, do something different, and try a new technique and learn new things, grow as a painter. It's very hypocritical if I'm saying that to you and I'm not doing it myself. So yeah, I decided to do a big bold move on a model that is new, that I desperately wanted to do in my old style, but I knew I wanted it to be special, and it's going to be special by the fact that I'm gonna do something new with it, right? There's Crumb say I was shattered the next day. Yeah, me too, man, me too. I was actually ill, so yeah, maybe it was staying up late and doing that made me poorly. Not blaming Shiv at all. And just ran out of paint, so that is the perfect time to call it quits there. Excellent. Move that over here, give that a little bit of air, and I'm going to purge it out. Stick that in the top. Fill the hopper up with water. Lovely. And purge. Yeah, so a podcast. Very exciting stuff. And do you know what? It was an absolute privilege to be invited along to somebody else's shindig and be a part of it, and to be considered appropriate, and to be considered, that was what we wanted. Oh, it was just really nice. I didn't ever start Easy 8 to be the popular person, to be that face that everyone tunes into. Like, it would be cool if Easy 8 gets that far, but it won't be because of me. It'll be because of the ethos of the show. That's what I want it to be. Don't aim to be a celebrity, but to be considered valuable enough to come along and take part. That was really nice. It was really cool. And it wasn't just Crumbs, myself, and Shiv. There was also another guy there. We called him several nicknames, and I can't remember what we called him, but it's a gentleman from the States who's a part of the Table of Horrors crew. So we had a really good chit chat all night. It was really, really good. He had a lot of points and views. It was a really nice guy. I had a great time. Right. Cheers. Oh, that's a nice flavour, but mighty strong. Day off tomorrow, which is great because I'm going to die. Right, going to hit it with a perm dry, so I'm going to knock the microphone off. There we go. Crumbs is saying 2 in the morning and called it a night. Yeah, it was. It was like it was 2:30, 2:45 by the time I got to bed. Yeah, it was insane. I had to go downstairs and just chill out for a little while because, oh man, my head was just buzzing. Reading that back, you know what I mean? Yeah, I do. Yeah. Cool. So, do you know what? This brown might be too dark for the yellow to do anything over the top. I could always come back in and give it a quick dusting of white, just to lighten that down a little bit. It's fine. What I am interested in doing now very quickly is just giving it a quick dusting of white over the top. That might help for some of the transitional stages in there as well, but I just want it to kind of pop from the top as well. Well, because I want it to. So, yeah, gonna. So, back in with the paper. Very rarely ever use the white in the airbrush because normally if I'm doing white, it is a primer, so I use the primer colour for it. But this is just to kind of enhance that white that's on there. Just needs a really good shake, I'm sure, because I don't think I've ever really used it beyond the occasional dot or something, you know. There we go. I'm not going to water this down in any amount, really. I want it to go on quite opaque. I mean, it is an airbrush paint, so it is quite watery already. There we are, that'll do. Oops. Okay. Not really fussed about where the armour is. There's a few patches on top of the carapace up here that's a little bit grayer, but it's all going to be black, so yeah, don't really care. It's more about the fleshy parts on the arms here, on the head, etc. Oh, I've run out of paint already. think I realised that with his position, he's really quite hunched over, so there's not really much in the way of. There's no real opportunity to see the zenithal highlighting for itself. It is just one really big kind of a right angle overhang, isn't it? So it's either going to be white or dark. That's it. There's going to be no middle ground. We'll see how it comes out, shall we? Realise that it is quite a stark brown, so I'm just going to see what it's like if I just come from a distance and just hit it with a little bit of white from a distance there, just to brighten it up a little. That's quite nice. Yeah, I like that. Just stops that brown from being so intense. If it wasn't for the fact that I was using yellow, I wouldn't be so bothered by it being a really dark colour, but yellow's going to struggle to patch over that dark colour. So there we go. Let's see how that works. I'm quite optimistic about it. I think it'll be interesting to say the least, you know. Anyway, let's get some quick, intense blasts of white. Tops of those arms and the top of that tail there, top of that head where we're going to see the brightest, starkest yellows. Excellent. There we go. Just going to purge the airbrush through. Do you know I'm not going to be able to finish all of that beer? It is strong. Nice flavour, but in moderation, I think. I liked a bit too much. Lush. And again, going to come in with some nice perm power. Here we go. Wonderful. Stafford says, will Prometheum go through the airbrush? Prometheum? Like you want it to be a flamethrower? It's harsh, isn't it? Have you gamed? Are you saying? It's hidden behind that horrible little symbol again. Are you saying have you gamed with your new bug army? If I check that out on my phone, I can see those tricky to see comments. Where is it? Is it loading? Have you gamed your new bug army? Ah, cool. Yes and no. So I played one game of 10th edition Warhammer 40,000, which is the latest version, and I got obliterated. I did use my Tyranids, and I didn't like it at all. It wasn't fun. I mean, it was fun to kind of have interactive play with my friends, but the problem was I was facing Space Marines who throw a lot of bullets. I didn't really know what I was doing, and I died very quickly. I have been playing a lot of one-page rules lately, and that is really, really good fun. It's a game changer, totally, and I had a really, really good time playing it. It allowed me to bring back that kind of nostalgic feel with my armies, which I really, really enjoyed, and yeah, it didn't have any of the clutter that Warhammer 40,000 10th edition has. 9th edition, 8th edition, love those. They're absolutely brilliant. Warhammer is a long and involving game. 10th is just too much for me. There's lots of things. I'm not going to get into that right now. Maybe that's something we could talk about on the Easy 8 podcast at some point in the future. But yeah, I've only played Space Marines versus Space Marines at the moment in one-page rules whilst I'm getting used to the rules, because it took just an hour or two to get used to it. I wanted to flow a little bit at it, but it's about making the army lists that is a little bit different than what I'm used to. So I just wanted to give it a chance, basically. I had a great time. Go and check out One Page Rules. I honestly couldn't suggest better. Now, here I am talking about doing black on all of this carapace. I'm wondering if it is worth me just not airbrushing. I'm going to give it a go, because you've got to grow, right? You've got to grow as a painter. So here I am. I'm going to hit it with some black and just see how easy it is to control. It might be too much of a faff. I've got several options. I can brush this on. I can brush the brush version of this on. I've got a contrast paint that might do a lot of the work for me. But let's just give it a go. Let's see what happens. I didn't know Easy 8 was sponsored by Boots. Is it? Was not a product placement. Best thing to put on Griblies, the Promethean. How dare you? Idea for a conversion: chapter master with a can of raid. Yeah, love that. Max strength raid. Promethean in a can. Yeah. How dare you? Right. Let's get some black in there. I'm not going to really dilute it down with any thinner or anything like that, but I will stick a little bit of flow improver in there, just again, just to keep the flow of the paint moving nice and smooth. Hashtag not sponsored. Thank you. YouTube have very strict rules on that. I don't want to be penalised. Funny. Here we are. So I'm going to start clearly in the middle. Take your time, right? All the limb sips you could ever need. Yes, please. I should have positioned that sticker more carefully. Sorry, Boots. If you keep talking about it. Taken a long time, isn't it, to try and be like nice and careful and gentle and accurate. See how close it comes to the side of the arm here, though. So I want to be really, really careful about that. I'm just wondering, is it worth it? So what I think I'll do is I've got a bit of a blockage. You can see the bubbles in the hopper. I'm just going to carry on until I use up all the paint that's in the hopper here, and then I might just go and switch out to a brush. One of the reasons that I wanted to use the airbrush on this bit was just to get those silky smooth textures. But I'm going to be doing like semi-glazes over the top anyway, so who cares, right? Boots get a free plug, it's all good. Oh yeah, I'm not really that fussed about it. There is no sponsorship, but I'm allowed to say Boots. I'm allowed to have things in my house that come from a certain brand. Be absolutely stuffed about this Hardbeck and Steiner. Oh, Harder and Steenbeck, sorry. Airbrush for my Vallejo paints when I. My old co-host used to get really concerned about saying brand names on the live stream. You can't say the brand names. You'll get shut down, man. You'll get shut down. I'm like, dude, steady on. It's not advertising. I'm not getting any money for it. It's okay. We can get a bit of an idea of what it's looking like though, can't we? I think it's going to look really, really cool when it's done. Ooh, it's taking a long old time, isn't it? What about doing the claws over here? Oh, the claws I was going to do white anyway, wasn't I? Okay, cool, that's fine. Got a little bit of armour on the back of the claws anyway. I think I'm going to have to do it all by brush. As much as I'm enjoying doing this process, it is very, very fine and fiddly in some of the areas around the arms. Oops, bashed into the microphone. And it's just going to be quicker to do it by brush. I know I'm trying to like really create a piece where I put a little bit more time and focus and effort into what I'm doing, but I don't want to be like burning away hours just trying to make an area go black. You know what I mean? Has anyone ever made a bug ship for the tabletop game? Like a hive ship? I haven't, no. But I've seen things. I've seen things, man. You weren't there. I mean, obviously, there's Battle... I say obviously, you may not know at all. Battlefleet Gothic, which is the spaceship version of the game. So it's like all about interstellar war in Warhammer 40,000. It's a very good game. I've only ever played it on video game, but it plays very, very similarly to what it does on the tabletop. It was very, very popular when it was released for a long time. I think it still has a very, very dedicated fan base. I don't see much about it anymore through the normal Games Work channels, but I think that they do still support it, and I think it is making a bit of a comeback. I might be picking up on the wrong things there, but yeah, it has a very hardcore fan base, very loyal fan base. There's lots of like trying to estimate where your people are going to be, because you know, there's like torpedoes and travel and things like that. How much longer have we got? We've got about 10 minutes, and I've just heard a very, very shocking sound in my headphones. I've heard the "I'm running out of charge" alert. I normally get about 10 minutes from hearing that sound. Now, here's the thing. It's only going to affect me. It won't affect you, because I'm coming through on this microphone here. I just listened to all of my audio cues. So, all of a sudden it might go in my head, and then I might be like, what? And so I'm in a bit of a panic. So if it looks like I'm having a bit of a meltdown, it's just because my battery in my headset's run out and I can't hear the music and things like that anymore. I'm not going to stop the show to go and get the charger cable. I knew it was going to be close. It was going to have issues with it. Having a little look underneath here, underneath this guy's carapace, because it's such a big and detailed model, they've got room to do this sort of stuff on there. Can you see all these, hopefully it comes into autofocus, all of these kind of like stretch marks, if you like? I want to do that part flesh, part chitin. Chitin being like Beetle's armour material, yeah, for those who don't know. So I want to have the black that travels underneath and have that the armoured colour, but I want all of these stretch marks to look like that it's flesh that's kind of pulling through from under the armour plates, and that the armour is growing out of the skin, and then of course it goes straight into more armour plates underneath. So I've got to try and get the yellow in there and then bring the black up against it, but make it look random. I don't want like a hard edge where it just suddenly goes black. I've got to try and blend that yellow into that, and that might mean creating a line of brown in there to kind of simulate, you know, the edges meeting. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure I do. Probably lots of plates. Yeah, there's lots of plates and things to do on here. Lots and lots. So I think I'm going to have to do it all by brush. I've still got a load of black in the hopper here, so I'm just trying to get through that. It's starting to block up a little bit as well. It needs a good clean. Come and meet me after the show on Discord at the Easy 8 After Party, and remind me to clean my airbrush. And don't let me go until you see me actually doing it. Quite intimidating already, isn't it? trying to be so gentle at the same time as trying to be quite like bold, and don't want to get any overspray, so I'm taking the ages to get any coverage really. Right, do you know what? Let's get the black out of this hopper. I only have a little bit left in there, look. Cool. Let's move away from doing it by airbrush and move into doing it with normal brush. That was the second alert in my head. I think I'm gonna make it. I think I'm gonna get there. I didn't leave it on charge overnight. I've been playing video games in the evenings recently with some of my friends. I didn't leave my headset on charge. And my charger isn't directly underneath me where it normally is either. It's over in the corner behind me, behind my PC rig. So I have to get out of the chair to go do it. And I never do that, ever. So, yeah. Funny! One more sip of the old beer there, go on. Oh, that is so strong. So strong. Okay. Right. Got a couple of options. Contrast paint. Slap it on. Don't want to slap it on. I'm going to take my time with it. But I'm going to use an airbrush paint just because they are a little... they flow better. Some airbrush paints aren't worth the time for just using by brush. They are designed that you should be able to use them with brush or airbrush, but some of them are so weak in pigment that it's just effort. And I find that you can't manage a pointer very well on your brushes with them. It's quite a thick end there, not very detaily. So yeah, choose your paints wisely. Anyway, let's just go over what I've got here. Just really establish this black. And by using a nice thin paint as well, keeping the textures minimal. When a paint comes out of the airbrush, it looks really, really nice. It's really, really flat, really matte, really non-shiny, unless you're using a shiny paint, obviously. That's one of the things that I really enjoy about airbrushing. Still slow going, but the progress is... Oh, hello. It's still faster, Keep on smashing into the microphone. I'm so sorry. Try to be professional. I'm clearly not. Everybody knows it. Don't talk about it. It's not a real thing. Look how close that is to the arm in there. Now, even if I'd left the arms off, I still would have had the difficulty of trying to paint without getting an overspray onto the white or the yellow areas. So it wouldn't have saved me any hassle. Moving away from the airbrush is just something I had to do at my level. Maybe even pros would have done that. Am I a pro? Oops, steady. I think what I'm going to do is just worry about doing the top sides for now, because there's a tendency for me to want to, when I get to the edges, to kind of turn it over, spend a bit of time doing the detail bits there. But I just want to break it down nice and simple. I think if I just keep it easy at this stage, just do the top bits, I might find that the progress comes along a little bit quicker. And seeing visual progress is such a motivation boost. If you can get lots of little wins, like I really recommend it. Take the time to kind of work out how you can get those little wins regularly. Do this little area. Oh, that's a plate finish. Do that little area. Oh, that's another bit there finished. And it feels like tick list. I had my third beep in my headset. How do you guys work through your projects? Do you like have to do little victories, or do you quite enjoy that slog? Do you find it a slog at all? Do you slow down when you get to a certain part in your build or your painting? I say build because I know that we've got terrain builders and converters and stuff in the live chat there. It's not just about painting, is it? It's about the making side of it as well. Is there a point where you just can't see an end in sight? Or every time you think you finished a bit, you look and you go like, oh, I missed that bit over there because I didn't turn it over and have a look properly. I rush this bit and every single time for me. Which is why I've got to break it down little bit by little bit. Let's move the microphone out of the way a little bit. When it merges into where the skin of this beast is, it needs a little bit of attention with a detail brush just to kind of clearly identify the end of one area. And once I've done the undersides as well as the top sides, I'll come back in with a quick detail brush and just neaten up all those borders and edges, and I'll be happy that I've finished blocking in all the black. It's very clear to see that I would have struggled doing this with the airbrush. And it was worth having a go, and I do enjoy it. It is fun to use the airbrush. And I don't paint because it's serious. You know, I paint because it's fun. So I tell myself. I can see that the black that I'm putting down here, it's actually going on much stronger than what it was with the airbrush. The airbrush would have taken 2, maybe 3 coats to get that level of saturated opacity, which would have meant even more time spent faffing and trying to be delicate and gentle and whatever. So yeah, absolutely made the right choice. A shame that I couldn't do what I wanted to do, but you know, in the interest of actually finishing a project at some point in my life. Make decisions. Quite weird seeing one of my Tyranids with a jet black carapace, because normally I do them grey and then just use black as a sort of a panel liner, if you like. Quite a thick panel line, but to like represent shadows between the layers. So it's quite weird to see a carapace all black and brown underneath. Lovely. And then down the back here, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 plates there, and then we've got another 2 plates under here. There was a time when Tyranids were quite specifically supposed to have a certain amount of plates on their torsos and on their heads. They're supposed to have 5 plates on their heads, 5 plates on their back, 5 plates on their tail, but they kind of moved away from that design, and that's fine, right? It's supposed to be forever evolving things. Have them with as many plates as you like, doesn't matter. Yeah, I even thinned that was clever. Now I've got a very, very wet brush with hardly any paint on it. Stafford says, Jeff, it's a 135th Panzer IV. Oh, that's exciting. Of course, you bought that when we went to the tank museum, didn't you? That's really cool. It's a list of small jobs, but some jobs just will not flipping end. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? You kind of got to have like a to-do list, if you like, of things to get through in your miniature. But sometimes it just, like, one thing on that list just never ends, or the list just goes on and on. Yeah, man, I know the feeling. Yeah, I've overwatered this paint down. Not really in shot today, am I? I'm really sorry about that. Painting tiny little miniatures like I was over the last few weeks might be quite appropriate to be in this close on the zoom, but obviously this is a much bigger model than what I was painting the last few weeks. So yeah, I also was not very far at all from finishing them live on the show, and I did actually finish them within like a day or two after the show, when I was starting to handle the fact that I was poorly, and I'm like, right, I'm just going to go find some time and just go neaten them up a little bit, paint the bases, and then I just called them. I'm like, right, I really struggle painting white metal miniatures. It's not to slag white miniatures off. Some people really like them. There's quite a loyal fan base for them out there. I'm not really a fan of them. I find them a little bit cruder in their detail than plastic, but again, there's a charm in it. But I actually find it quite difficult to paint. So I've always really stayed away from white metal where I can. So it was quite nice to, again, challenge myself, do something a little bit different and a little bit more difficult for my own ability. They came out all right. I would like to have been able to do them better. But they're still fun. They still represent the reference material that I was working from, and that I was pretty proud of that. I was pretty proud of my colour research and colour use. So, yay me. Pretty much at the end of the show now, I think, aren't we? Bit of a shame. I'm really starting to get into a bit of a roll. That can be a demotivator as well, right? Just as you're starting to kind of get into the jam of it all, then it's time to put the paints away. No. Also, have you ever painted for too long and you just want to get that one thing done, or you just kind of want to finish doing that colour, or trying to finish doing that bit that you've been painting for ages, and then like you just over paint and you just end up ruining everything. real struggles that I struggle with. I'm actually losing control of this paint a little bit because it's too watery. It's just added maybe a drop too much, and it's got a bit of a life of its own. So I'm just going to get to the end of this tail section here because I can't leave it alone, and then I'm going to call it a night, I think. There's my 4th warning on the headset. There's a lot of neatening up, but we're starting to get somewhere, starting to get those 3 colours in now, which is really, really cool. If I can get all of these colours blocked in really, really quick, I'll be really, really happy. I want to be at a stage where next week I'm either using the yellow to colour in all the flesh areas, or I'm starting to kind of paint up all the carapace. Really like to get the yellow on there. I really want to see how that works, but it just depends if I can get hold of myself some Cassandora yellow in the time between now and next week. Anyway, I think I'm going to have to leave it there. What do you guys think of this so far? Is it starting to look good? Is it starting to look cool? Do you like this? Have you got concerns about the painting style that I'm trying to go on with tonight? Can you see my vision? Do you understand my goal, or do you think I'm going to fail and flop? I'd love to know your thoughts. Anyway, let's wash this brush out. Let's put a cap on that black. There we go. Cool. Right, let's come away from here. It's a silly place. Stafford says, I'm going to attempt to paint it like the one at Bovington. That's in reference to the Panzer IV that's at Bovington. Number 419. It's a really, really nice tank. I really like it. The Panzer IV, Panzer III is a couple of my favourite tanks from the World War II era, or just in general. I think they're just really smart looking tanks. And the paint scheme on 419 is really, really nice. There goes my headset. I can't hear you anymore, but hopefully you can see me, hear me well. Yeah, so the tanks at Bovington, they've got a really nice diverse collection of different camo schemes across all the different nations. Germany's the one that they got the most of in all the different types of camouflage. So they've got a panther there, which is painted in a very peculiar camouflage that I've not really seen anywhere else. I think it's quite late war. I think if I understand that colour scheme well, I think it's to do with running out of certain types of paints as the war progressed. But it's basically just their standard dark yellow colour, and then just big bold lines of their red oxide colour outlined in white. And I think they've got a couple of vehicles that are painted like that, but their their Panzer III is painted in the Africa colours, which is just their dark yellow colour. And then the Panzer IV, number 419, is painted in the traditional green and black and red colours. And it's a really, really attractive tank to look at. Stafford, Dave and myself had a really cool idea, was to try and paint up every one of the tanks that are featured in the tank museum, but there are like something like over 300 armoured vehicles and tanks in the entirety of the Bovington collection. That's not all in the museum on display, of course. That does include a lot of the tanks that are in their conservation centre, where it's not always open, but you can go in at certain times of the day on certain events as well to go in and see their huge collection. But the ones that they got in the museum, we thought that it might be quite a nice project to bit by bit paint them all up, paint up tanks to look like all of the ones that are in the Bovington collection. More ideas on that later on as time moves forward. I've got some really cool and exciting ideas. They might be a pipe dream idea, they might be really fun ideas to explore, but we haven't got time to talk about those today. Maybe we'll look forward to that over the next few weeks perhaps. Jeff says it's looking good. Thanks, man, I appreciate that. It looks a little bit childish at the moment because it's just blocking in those colours. The paint's a little bit, it's not colouring in between the lines at the minute. It's kind of a little bit all over the place. There's a lot of overspray and transitional spray colours on there, and obviously the black's a little bit patchy, especially on that last little bit. So it's quite I think, important to my mindset to make sure that I get all of those colours blocked in, nice and neat and tidy, to a point where I'm ready to move on to the next stage, so it stops feeling half finished. It always feels like it needs tidying up, which always makes me feel like I'm not progressing. Anyway, yeah, there you go. Staff says, I have concerns it's not on fire. Fight me and set it on fire if you think you can. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, I'd love to see whatever it is that you've been working on. If you've been working on a project at all this evening, do let me know what it is. The conversation never stops. You can carry on writing down there in the comment section when this video finishes. I think it just carries on normal comments rather than the live chat. You can carry the conversation on over at Facebook, where you can take photos of your stuff and upload them over there if you want to. I'm going to be on Discord after the show for a little while I clean my airbrush and my paints. Oh, sorry, my paintbrushes. Not going to clean my paints. Spent all that time putting it on the model. So you can come and join me over there if you want to. Have a chat on the video, or just join in with the audio if you want, or just type if you're nervous or shy. That's fine too. Yeah, I'm also on Instagram, so you can check me out over there as well, because I've been putting up some really cool pictures. I've been learning some cool photography techniques, and I'm really quite pleased and proud of myself about how my miniature photography has come along to make my painting look better. Like, my painting isn't good enough. I have to make it look better by taking good and dramatic photos. So head on over to Instagram as well if you want to have a look at some of the stuff that I've been putting up there, and give me any constructive feedback about my painting, my techniques, my studio layout. Do you like where my microphone's positioned? Is the light too much? Was I zoomed in too far today? Anything like that, let me know. Do you want to see more of the cats? Talk to me, man. Talk to me. Anyway, love to know what it is that you've been working on this evening. Come and tell me all about it. If you want to join me at the Easy 8 after party, I'm going to be over there momentarily. If you like what I do here this evening, or at any other time of the week, go subscribe to the show, because subscribers are literally you guys. Makes the community grow. The community grows only when you subscribe or share or talk about it. So if you think you know someone who might benefit from this community, go and let them all know about Easy 8. If you're really interested, not this weekend like tomorrow, but the following weekend, we're heading back over to the Tank Museum at Bovington in Dorset, because they've got the Southwest Model Show. You can come and join me and members of the Easy 8 community. There's a few of us that are going over there to go and look at the tanks again, because tanks are so cool, but also to go and look at the collection of models that people are going to be bringing in from the wide community as well. So come and join us over there for an Easy 8 day out, an easy day out with Easy 8. Thanks, Denny, says Staff. You're welcome, mate. There's some hearts going in there. Cheers, whoever that is. It's probably Dave, isn't it? Anyway, I've loved having your company this evening, so thank you very much for coming along, and thank you very much to the new subscribers, and it's just great to have new people on board. Come along and join in every week, and join in the live chat. The chat never stops, so come and talk to us on Facebook or wherever it is you like to hang out. Anyway, in fear of blabbering on and on and on, and I can't hear my own voice, I'm probably shouting a little bit now as well. I'll love you and see you next week. So until next week, stay safe, be kind, keep on painting, get some colour on your grey. See you soon. Bye-bye. Do you know what? It's really difficult to fade out the music when you can't hear it. Anyway, bye!